So I'm just getting out to a service call for no heat. It's a Trane package unit heat pump with electric backup. This is a new customer, never been out to this site. They call us out because they've had another company coming out and doing a lot of repairs, and none of the repairs seem to be working, and obviously the customer is just getting very frustrated. Some of the stuff that they told me had been done, that essentially what's going on is it will heat and then eventually it'll just cut out and it basically goes into lockout and it stops heating. So apparently this company had replaced the control board in here. So I got that new control board. He also did a TXV, but he did the TXV that goes with the condenser coil, and he didn't do the other one, so he just did that one. And apparently the repair will work for like a tiny bit and then it just stops. Supposedly the guy was telling me like it would kind of work for a little bit and then stop. Well, eventually the customer figured out if he cycles the power, he'll get it to kick back on. So obviously it sounds like this thing's tripping out on some type of a safety, and then he is cycling power and is resetting the safety and it'll run for a little bit. So he's just sounds like he just keeps resetting their safety over and over and over. So I got out here and I've been kind of watching it run. I'm kind of going through it with like a fine-tooth comb here, just trying to see what I can figure out, because I just wanted to kind of see what we got going on. So I kind of pulled a bunch of panels off, kind of look for anything obvious, which I'm assuming wouldn't have been missed, but you never know. And then also when I got here, the space is satisfied. It's probably like mid 40s, which I say is, pretty good heat pump weather. Space was satisfied, but I bumped it up a little bit and got up here. Everything was kicked on running and gauged up. My pressures look pretty good. I mean, everything's looking pretty good. So I'm like, well, what the heck? So I got down in here and I want to test like every mode that this thing might be going into, because I don't really want to call back. And so I jumpered out my little defrost thing here. I wanted to see if defrost is working good. So I went to defrost. My contactor pulled in for my strip heat, and then I took an amp draw on the leads going to all my strip heat. Basically had good amp draw, so I know all of them are good and working, because that was one thing I was wondering, like maybe the strip heat was bad, and every time this thing went into defrost, like the backup heat wasn't kicking on and just like freezing these people out or something weird. So that all kind of passed. Well, it was running in defrost mode for a few, and then out of nowhere it just like kicked off pretty quick, and I was like, what the heck? But I could tell it was still in defrost mode, but the compressor just kicked off. So I kind of jumped over and was looking at the TXV, and the TXV, or sorry, not the TXV, but I was looking at my pressures on my suction, and I saw that my suction pressure was just sucking down like super fast, and it was tripping it out on low suction, the low suction safety pressure switch. So I was like, okay, maybe I was just kind of wondering if I was seeing it right, and then all of a sudden I could see my pressure gauge go up, and then all of a sudden it kicked into going back into defrost. So I'm like, okay. What I've seen happen before, and I'm pretty sure that's what's happening now, is I think my metering device that goes with the evaporator coil, so obviously it's the one that's being more used when you're in cooling mode, which is essentially what I'm in when I'm in defrost. And I think basically what's happening is that TXV is not metering correctly. So I'm going to be writing up for a new TXV that goes with the evaporator coil. So sometimes it's a lot harder to figure out when the TXV in the opposite season is going out. Obviously in air conditioning mode, you're not going to really notice anything with the TXV going, that's being used more for the heating mode with the condenser coil. But whenever you got this scenario, since you're going into defrost, essentially your cooling mode, you can still have issues with that metering device. So I think what's happening is it's trying to defrost enough, and then on these colder days when it's going to defrost a lot, and it's tripping out the safety, and then it's like locking itself out from heat pump, and they're only running on strip heat. And the strip heat is it's a smaller one, so I have a feeling that the strip heat just isn't keeping up on the really, really cold days with this system. And then they're just noticing it's not keeping up, it's cold, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I got going on. That's what I'm gonna go with. I'll go with a new, the new filter dryer, new TXV, obviously just new refrigerant, all that kind of stuff. And then go from there. I mean, everything else seems to be working just fine. Reversing valve's doing what it's supposed to do. I mean, all the different components with this heat pump look like it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Feel free to leave some comments on if you run into this or just similar situations. One last thing, I do see like I'm missing a P-trap, so I'll probably write that up too, since like I said, it's a new customer and I'd like to have everything kind of up to snuff with this guy. So thanks again for watching, guys. I appreciate it.